What's happening, everybody? March Madness is over, and the Florida Gators are national champions. Now, I didn't really have a team in the fight. I kind of just love college basketball as a whole. I don't really have a team that I back or that I followed since I was a kid. My alma mater hasn't been in the tournament in quite some time, so I didn't really have them to root for. So I was able to just sit back and watch this game tonight, the final, Florida Houston. But before we get into tonight's game, let's just recap how we got here. Florida took care of Auburn, which was an awesome game, but it did not compare to the Duke Houston game, which has to have been probably the game of the tournament, aside from maybe Maryland with their game winner. But those were not with the stakes that Duke and Houston had. That was a Final Four game to play in a national championship game. Duke was up pretty convincingly. It looked like they were going to win the whole thing, and then they just made mistakes. Houston played harder. Houston wanted it more, and ultimately, Houston got the job done and seemed destined to become national champions. And even tonight in the national title game, Houston was winning pretty much the whole game. They were up by 5 or 6 in the first half and hadn't even made it 3 yet. So it looked like even when they were playing bad, that they had this game in control. Florida just kept sticking around within 8 to 12 points, not really letting it get out of hand. And ultimately, I mean, you got to just give it up to this Florida team. They really came through. They came up big. They played team ball towards the end. And Houston, as great as they are defensively, really their issue came down to offense. They just had nothing going for them. They couldn't find a playmaker. Cryer wasn't really getting it done. And they didn't really have that go-to guy that they really desperately needed at that time in the game. Ultimately, congrats to Houston on a great run. It really was a good run. I hope that this doesn't overshadow their season, but at the same time, it's the national championship game, and you had it. You had this game just like Duke had the game against you. I actually was watching this game with my buddy Frank, and coming out of halftime, I literally said to him, if I was the coach, I would tell my Houston squad, hey, Duke was in this position with us. Don't beat Duke. Don't beat Duke in this national championship game. And they were not as dramatic and obviously not as crazy. They weren't up by as much as late. But definitely they had the game in the bag, it looked like. And Florida just, resilient group. They don't really – Walter Clayton Jr. is their best player. Maybe he's a first-round pick. But ultimately they just had a great team built around them, and the kid had no points at halftime, but he found some fire. He got going in the second half, and enough to at least be a threat, which opened up the game for all his other teammates. So again, Florida just took it on, man. They just took control there at the end, and they played Houston style defense. Houston couldn't get anything going, and I say all this to ultimately say, as much as I love Houston's head coach, I don't understand what he was doing at the end. So Houston turns it over. They're down by 1. And a turnover is a turnover. Fine. The kid was trying to make a play. He was trying to drive. It bounces off his leg. Out of bounds, Florida ball. That's fine. Florida gets fouled. The kid misses the first free throw, makes the second free throw. Houston's down 2. There's 19.77 seconds left on the clock. So you got 20 seconds. They call timeout. This is where I'm not sure what Kelvin Thompson was calling here. I mean, what's the play? I rewatched this, I rewind it to see what the idea was. What were they supposed to do with these 20 seconds? First of all, the first 10 seconds of the 20 seconds, nothing happens. They dribbled the ball up with no sense of urgency. I was even watching the game going like, let's go, like hurry up. Like, I mean, I wanted to see something. You got to have more sense of urgency there to at least get a shot up. So if you miss, you can still foul, and you just hope that the Florida kid will miss one of the 2 free throws, and it's still a 3-point game. You still have a shot to tie it. It almost looked like they were playing this as if it was a tie game, and they were going to go for the game winner at the final buzzer. So I don't know if that was just poor execution by the kids. Like maybe the guys just didn't really understand the play or messed it up. I'm not really sure, but that falls on the coach. If you don't have something specific drawn up for them, And the fact that the play really didn't start until 10 to 12 seconds left on the clock, that was a big letdown. I think it put the team in a bad spot. Like, you're starting the play with 10 seconds left. So at this point, even if you get a shot off and it's a long rebound or a loose ball, I mean, even if you foul Florida, you got like 5 seconds left to try to like tie it up. You can't even really draw up a good play. So I'm not really sure what that was about. And that was the biggest letdown. But again, enough about Houston. I really do like their style, but we'll talk about them for another time. They're all defense, but Florida proved that they could be all defense as well. They stuck in the game. They were down by, I think, as much as 12 to 14 at one point, and they just did not go away. Even when it looked like the game was a wrap, they stuck with it, got the job done. Congratulations to the Florida Gators. Gator boys stay hot, as Walter Clayton Jr. said there at the end. They lifted up the trophy, and what an awesome college basketball season. Personally, I really didn't follow college basketball that much when I was younger, but the last few seasons, I really have started getting into it. I've kind of paid more attention to the conferences, obviously being around the game more. With me working for different teams, I've kind of understood how conferences work and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy watching them. And ultimately, I just think that these kids are playing from their heart. Obviously, NIL is changing that. But at the same time, seeing the emotion, seeing these kids really, pour their heart and soul into it and care about the programs and all the history and the fact that Hakeem Olajuwon is there with the Houston team. And, Charles Barkley's watching the Auburn team. And he looks like all of us, like regular fans watching our favorite teams play, because he went to Auburn. So it's nice. I like that college basketball still has that tradition and still maintains that connection with their older players, the players that have gone on to play in the NBA since then retired. And I love the tradition. So what a great season. What a great tournament. I know that only number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four, but that's pretty awesome too. I mean, it's great teams. We didn't really have the Cinderella story this year, which is always fun, but ultimately, I believe that's why all these games at the end were very competitive. I mean, the championship game was won by 2 points. Florida won by 2. The Duke-Houston game was a great game, came down to the wire. Even the other Final Four game, which was Auburn and Florida, came down to the wire. So great games, great tournament. I will miss you, college basketball, but we will, be talking about college ball when the season starts back up in the fall. Until then, congratulations, Florida Gators. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And if you have anything to say, comment. I'll read it. Thanks.